Well, hello there. If you've stumbled upon this video or it caught your eye and you still haven't subscribed to my channel, what are you waiting for? My channel has the best shit on YouTube, particularly as it pertains to the NFL and the NBA. I embrace the grind and I think it shows with the quality of these weekly review videos especially. If you don't want to watch, that's fine, but just realize you're missing out on some of the greatest content ever created. And also, fuck the NFL for demonetizing all my videos, you greedy cocksuckers. You don't have enough money already? You gotta fucking demonetize all my videos because I use your clips? Fuck you. Let's begin. Seattle versus Arizona. Right away, it's 4th and 1, and they didn't run the tush push. Wow, that's weird. Incredible throw here by Kyler Murray. He purposely threw the interception, knowing that it would be fumbled back to his team to give his team a new set of downs. That is light years quarterbacking, but Arizona only got a field goal out of it, while Mono Man led Seattle to a touchdown to give the Hawks an early 7-3 lead. Marvin Harrison Jr.'s sophomore slump continued early as he forced an interception near the red zone. I hope his dad doesn't see this, because if he does, he might unalive me. But yet I persist on. Seattle would expand the lead by running the ball on their opponent's 1-yard line while playing in Glendale, Arizona. You're about 11 years too late on that one, assholes. Fast forward to the fourth quarter, where Jackson Smith and Jacob got flagged for holding, which negated a Seattle touchdown. He then said some naughty words that were caught on a hot mic, and the ref gave him a very disapproving look. The kind of look a father gives their son when the son says he wants to become a dancer or a flight attendant. Anyway, Seattle kicked a field goal to go up 14. Then Kyler and Harrison Jr. finally connected on a great throw to make it 20-13. Seattle had a chance to effectively end the game with a 53-yard field goal, but their kicker was being a stupid poopy head and missed. Kyler then, unironically, led one of the biggest drives of his career to tie it at 20 with 28 seconds left. Unfortunately for Kyler, his kicker, Chad Ryland, had been watching film of John Casey's kick out of bounds late in Super Bowl 38 all week and gave Seattle the ball at the 40-yard line. One nice throw by Darnold later, and they were already in field goal range, where they successfully converted a 52-yarder to win the game 23-20. Extremely tough scene for Cardinals players, as not only did they lose the game, they also did so while wearing uniforms with shit particles sprayed all over them. Perhaps they should give Odell Beckham a call. Pittsburgh versus Minnesota. Rare video of Carson Wentz getting hit and not suffering a season-ending injury. Feels like I'm watching a National Geographic documentary with that British guy narrating. Four-time NFC Championship game runner-up Aaron Rodgers came out ultra sharp early on in Ireland, leading two impressive touchdown drives to give Pittsburgh a 14-3 lead, the latter being an 80-yard dot to DK Metcalf. The teams traded some NFL Follies caliber drives before the Vikings kicked a field goal to cut it to 14-6 at halftime. Driving late in the third, Eagles, Colts, Washington, Rams, Chiefs legend Wentz threw an interception to TJ Watt, which resulted in Kenneth Gainwell, great last name for a running back, punching in his second touchdown of the day to put Pittsburgh up by 15. The Steelers would then make it 18 after a field goal with 11 minutes left, and the game seemed out of reach. Seemed being the optimal word. The Vikings ripped off 15 unanswered points to make it 24-21 with 2 minutes left, and after Mike Tomlin cowardly punted on 4th and 1 at Minnesota's 40, Wentz had one more drive to be the hero, but after a seemingly game-ending interception was overturned, the end result remained the same as the Vikings turned the ball over on downs, improving Pittsburgh to an against all odds 3-1 start, while J.J. McCarthy's injury is still 5 years away from being fully healed. Giants versus Chargers. The Jackson Fart era has officially begun in New Jersey, and he was just as bad as you'd imagine a rookie to be in his first start. Fortunately for Jackson Shart, the Chargers chargered hard in this one. Not even joking, Brian Dable's only coaching strategy is having a white quarterback run a lot, which catches defenses off guard temporarily, just like it did with Daniel Jones in 2022, and also on Dart's opening touchdown run. Justin Herbert lived up to his potential for 3 weeks before pooping down his leg once again, throwing an interception to 490-pound future dialysis machine user Dexter Lawrence, which set up New York with a field goal to go up 10-0. The teams exchanged field goals before LA actually showed some life just before half, with Herbert finding Chargers Nelson Aguilar Quentin Johnson on a 36-yard strike to make it 13-10 New York at halftime. Later on in the third, Herbert threw his second interception, which isn't his fault because his O-line are hurt and there was a slight breeze and he's suffering through a sore toenail. Stop being so mean. The interception return set up Dart's heroic 3-yard Brady-in touchdown drive. Then raw potato eater Cam Scatabo ran in the 2-point conversion to make it 21-10, but only temporarily, as Jim Harbaugh showed why he's an elite coach by willing Omarion Pemberton to break off a 54-yard touchdown run and a 2-point conversion of LA's own to get the game to 21-18. Herbert's first drive in the fourth was a 3-and-out. Then Jackson Tebow failed to score on the goal line, giving Herbert a second chance to play the hero, but it was not to be. New York held on to win 21-18, improving to 1-3 and ensuring Brian Daboll stays employed a little while longer, which is great news for Eagles fans like me. New England versus Carolina. A week after the most random 30-point win in NFL history, booster seat Bryce Young and Carolina looked sharp early on, as Young threw a touchdown to Tommy Tremble, whose name describes what Tom Brady does when asked to win a Super Bowl without a top 8 defense. Carolina fans should really skip the rest of this recap now. Don't say I didn't warn you. New England ripped off 42 unanswered points. That's right, 42. In honor of Jackie Robinson. They did it in every way possible. Special teams, on the ground, through the air, you name it. Drake May had the best game of his young career. Stefon Diggs found enough free time outside of his weird gay orgies, allegedly, to catch 6 passes for 101 yards, and the much maligned New England running backs didn't fumble. I warned all of you about Bryce Young being dog shit, and you all called me a hater. He stinks and will continue to stink. Those last several meaningless games last year after Carolina was long eliminated from the playoffs with zero pressure tricked a lot of y'all, but not me. He was so bad in this game that he got benched for Andy Dalton again. We just went through this a season ago. In typical Dalton fashion, he threw one of the most unclutched touchdowns of all time, down 36 with 2 minutes left to reach the final score of 42-13. Shout out to Mike Vrabel though, who continues to look like a typical stepdad you'd see in a Brazzers scene. Silver Fox stepdad destroys stepdaughter's cat on national television. Buffalo versus New Orleans. The Bills entered as 15.5-point favorites. That's a lot for those who don't gamble. And for most of the game, they got a run for their money. The first 3 drives in this game all ended in touchdowns before slowing down considerably. Unlike Paul Walker, no offense. Josh Allen even threw an interception early in the second, which means the NFL will most likely outlaw interceptions now since they do whatever the Bills want. Anyway, the Saints suck, we all know that, so they couldn't capitalize on Allen's mistake, but they did add a field goal and had a golden chance to take the lead at halftime, but they forgot the play call is called Philly Philly, not Nola Nola, and got intercepted, leaving the score at 14-10. Like with most bad teams, the most you can say is that they fought hard, which is what the Saints did. They answered a Buffalo touchdown with a touchdown of their own to make it 21-16 entering the last quarter, and after a failed 4th and 2 by Buffalo near midfield, no tush push, it looked like New Orleans took the lead on a pass from Spencer Rattler to Brandon Cooks, but instead of a touchdown, it was ruled incomplete, and the Saints had to settle for a field goal to make it 21-19 with 9 minutes left. Finally, Allen had enough, disgustingly yelling Hurricane Katrina as he threw a touchdown to Dalton Kincaid to make it a 9-point game with 7 minutes left. He didn't actually say that, by the way, but it would be funny if he did. The Saints, despite all of their marching in, would never score again, while Buffalo added a field goal to reach the final score of 31-19, which was also the final score of Super Bowl 14 between the Steelers and the Rams, by the way. Houston versus Tennessee. Cam Ward got his typical one wow play out of the way early, and it was for nothing because his kicker was point shaving, allegedly. Look, Texans O-line, I know the Titans suck, but you still have to block them, okay? This boring game saw just 2 Texans field goals to put them up 6-0 late in the first half before Ward got Tennessee into field goal range for some momentum, but his kicker said, "Nobody can miss kicks better than me, and that's no cap, bruh." Never one to turn down a challenge, Houston's kicker Kaimi Fairbairn immediately missed a field goal even more blatantly to win the prestigious Mike Vanderjagt Award. This was still a 6-0 game going into the fourth before Houston finally put Tennessee out of their misery. CJ Stroud threw 2 touchdowns with a Ward interception sandwiched in between to give Houston a 19-0 lead before Woody Marks, whose name literally translates to cum stains, broke off an 18-yard touchdown run to reach the final score of 26-0. Oh my god, it's Michael Jordan. Atlanta versus Washington. With Jaden Daniels missing his 2nd straight game after being grounded for texting a girl without his mom's permission, this was a prime opportunity for the Falcons to rebound following a puzzling 30-0 loss to Carolina last week. The Falcons started strong, jumping out to a 10-0 lead before Mark Ass Mariota, who is, by the way, the last quarterback to defeat the Chiefs in a playoff game before the AFC Championship game, threw a touchdown to hard worker Luke McCaffrey. That was immediately negated by an impressive touchdown drive by Atlanta to restore the lead back to 10. Washington made it 17-10 after a field goal set up by a great kickoff return, and then 17-13 with another field goal early in the third, although they missed several opportunities to tie the game. Michael Brady Jr. pumped up his stats with a 69-yard pass to Bijan Robinson before finding former generational tight end Kyle Pitts for a touchdown to go up 11. The quarterbacks then exchanged interceptions, hilariously. Washington cut the lead to 8 with a field goal before Tyler Algier ran for an impressive score, put Atlanta up 15 entering the fourth. Then the second overall pick Demon from Mariota flared up and dropped a dime touchdown to fat-ass Debo and a two-point conversion to make it 31-24, but Atlanta would respond with a clutch field goal drive. Where was this in the fourth quarter on February 5th, 2017? Dan Quinn was there also, by the way. Washington then kicked another field goal to make it 34-27, leaving it all up to an onside kick recovery where Kyle Pitts did not impersonate Brandon Bostic. Another game where Dan Quinn was present, by the way, to seal the win for Atlanta. Detroit versus Cleveland. The Lions entered as 10-point favorites, but that's not how it looked early on, as Cleveland took a 7-0 lead out of an impressive opening drive. And then, well, things became very bad very quickly for the Browns. Detroit tied it at 7, then Joe Flacco paid tribute to Brady in the 2020 NFC Championship game with a hilarious arm punt, which Detroit capitalized on with a field goal. Flacco later threw another horrible interception, which was returned and set up a short Detroit touchdown drive. The Lions then kicked a 58-yard curveball, not joking, to go up 20-7 at half. Any hope that Cleveland had in making this game interesting ended late in the third when they missed a 56-yard field goal, which would have cut it to 7. Cleveland got the ball back down 10. Jerry Jeudy dropped a deep pass, and then poof, the game ended as Khalif Raymond took the punt return 65 yards to the house to go up 27-10. Flacco is obviously not NFL caliber at this point. How bad is it? Opponents are literally knocking the ball out of his hands as he just stands there dumbfounded in the pocket. And you guessed it, this turnover led to another Detroit touchdown to reach the final score of 34-10. Oh my Atlanta, it's a jacked Liam Neeson. Rams versus Colts. The surprise QB of the surprise team of the year thus far, Daniel Jones, came back down to earth early with an arm punt interception. Both teams made field goals before Indy popped the proverbial touchdown cherry with a Tyler Bass Pro Shops customer Warren touchdown run to go up 10-3. Stafford couldn't answer with a touchdown, but gosh darn it, isn't this a nice throw to Puka Nacua? Stafford really got into a groove there early in the second, capped with a rocket touchdown pass to future Hall of Famer Davante Adams to go up 13-10 just before halftime. The play of the game, and possibly the year, happened early in the third when Jones found young wide receiver Adonai Mitchell for a massive gain and easy touchdown. Or did he? Nope. Mitchell stupidly began celebrating with the ball before he crossed the goal line, fumbled it out of the back of the end zone for a touchback. It was so embarrassing that even Deshaun Jackson is cringing. The touchdown would have put Indy up by 3 or 4 points, and after this, there were immediately 5 straight 3-and-outs before Indy got on the board again with a Jones touchdown pass to Michael Pittman Jr. Then Kyren Williams farted the ball out of his ass deep in LA territory. You never know when those bowel movements are going to happen. But Indy could only manage a field goal to make it 20-13, but not for long, because John Stafford would go on a heater, leading a game-tying touchdown drive and then throwing an 88-yard game-winning touchdown pass to Tutu Atwell to go up 27-20 with a minute 33 left. I started crying after this play, not because it was a huge play, but because it means I won't get to see Jimmy Garoppolo on the field anytime soon. Danny Dimes predictably reverted back to Danny Diapers, throwing another interception to seal the game and leave both teams at 3-1. Shout out to the 73-9 Warriors. Jacksonville versus San Francisco. Like most Jacksonville games, this one started rather mundane, but would dissolve into madness as it progressed. The first quarter saw just a San Fran field goal, but early in the second, the Jags scored the first touchdown after a long Travis Etienne run to go up 7-3. Brock Purdy, in his comeback game, forced a throw to Chris McCaffrey, which ended in an interception. Oh hey look, there's Travis Hunter making a great play. Maybe throw it to him more often. Jacksonville would punch it in a few plays later on a Trevor Lawrence touchdown to Hunter Long, whose name translates to sniper rifle, to go up 14-3. I'm actually embarrassed to admit it took me about 10 minutes watching this vid to realize that they were playing in San Francisco. I mean, honestly, does this not look like your typical cloudy, shitty Jacksonville home game? That really threw me for a loop, as the kids say. Anyway, back to the game. San Fran did a hook and ladder play, which only ended in a field goal to make it 14-6, but a great kickoff return set up Jacksonville with a short field goal of their own to go into halftime up 17-6. San Francisco would respond with a touchdown on an absolute laser from Purdy to McCaffrey. If you respect daughters, score a touchdown. Wow, look at how fast CMC got into the end zone after that. that. Wow. Purdy then sacrificed Juwan Jennings on the 2-point conversion, but again, it was successful, so the ends justify the means. On San Fran's next drive, still down just 17-14, Purdy threw a Purdy bad pass directly to Devin Lloyd, which set up Jacksonville with a field goal. After forcing another San Francisco 3-and-out, Jacksonville's Parker Washington returned their punt 87 yards for a touchdown to go up 26-14. San Francisco punter J.D. Vance is absolutely distraught here. Oh man, I thought I had him. Couple possessions later though, Purdy would throw an absolutely beautiful strike for a touchdown to make it 26-21 with 7:41 left. Jacksonville shaved some time off the clock and set up a relatively easy 47-yard field goal for Cam Little, who missed it because he was too busy thinking about how he makes 70-yard field goals in preseason games. But fear not, because several plays later, Purdy got destroyed and lost the football, and the game was then sealed for good following a first down conversion by Jacksonville, sending both teams to 3-1 records on the season. The Warriors blew a 3-1 lead in the NBA Finals after going 73-9. Kansas City, Baltimore. Probably the most anticipated game ever between two 1-2 teams. It began by living up to the hype, with Baltimore marching right down KC's throat. Oh, that's so hot. To take a 7-0 lead. KC's red zone offense continued to struggle early, having to settle for 2 field goals, but fortunately for them, their defense stepped up huge and made Lamar Jackson look pedestrian. The dam finally broke for KC late in the second when Mahomes fired a bullet to doo-doo shit Poopster for a touchdown. The Chiefs defense then set up Mahomes with short fields several times, and he made Baltimore pay with another touchdown pass to go up 20-7. Harrison Butker would miss another field goal, this time to the left, in a shocking M. Night Shyamalan caliber twist. Baltimore then hit a field goal of their own to go into halftime down 20-10. KC left some suspense as to a Baltimore comeback, but Mahomes was MVP Mahomes and quickly ended that, ripping throws all over the field, while Lamar struggled so badly in another big game that he quit late in the third. He did. He quit. We all saw it. We all know what's happening here. As a Lamar fan, it was pretty disappointing. Cooper Rush came in and did nothing, as you would expect, while Mahomes threw his 4th and final touchdown of the day early in the 4th to put KC up 37-13. With most of Baltimore's roster either dead or on IR or voluntarily quitting, they needed a hero, and their hero came in the form of Justice Hill, who ripped off a 71-yard touchdown run with 2 minutes left while trailing by 24 points. It might seem meaningless to most, but not to Justin Hill's yards per carry average. Think about that. Chicago versus Las Vegas. Wow, that's crazy. How did you know Geno Smith was drafted by the Jets? Despite Geno's generosity, Chicago struggled to capitalize, settling for a field goal. Then after another Vegas turnover, Max Crosby picked off Caleb Williams, which led to Vegas miraculously scoring the first touchdown of the game to go up 7-3. The Jet side of Geno showed up with another interception, but again, Chicago could only muster a field goal out of it. Then Michael Myers stance enthusiast Ashton Jeanty broke off a 64-yard touchdown run to put Vegas up 14-6. Chicago then ripped off 10 unanswered points, thanks in large part to another Geno interception, which resulted in Caleb throwing a strike to Rome Odunze to put Chicago up 16-14. Rome wasn't built in a day, but if you leave him uncovered, he'll drop 6 on you. Vegas responded with a touchdown right back once again to Jeanty, his 3rd of the day, to go up 21-16. Chicago's first 4th quarter drive was ruined by a premature release from the center, causing the ball to shoot 20 yards backwards. Now understand something, premature releases aren't uncommon in adult men, but if it happens consistently, then I do believe you should go consult with your doctor. I'm just doing my part to save your life. You'll thank me later. Anyway, back to the game. Vegas wasted a golden chance to go up by 9, but Geno's throw was low and dropped, so they settled for a field goal to go up by just 5 instead. Not even Tom Brady illegally relaying the offense's signals could stop Caleb on his final drive. An impressive drive which ended with a touchdown run, but a failed 2-point conversion, which put Chicago up by just 1 with 1:34 left. Everybody knew it would come down to a field goal attempt, and it did. And to nobody's surprise, the field goal was blocked, ending the game, raising the Bears to 500 while dropping Vegas to 1-3. At least Pete Carroll has dementia and won't remember any of this. Green Bay versus Dallas. It was Micah the Booty Warriors' emotional return to Dallas, and almost zero defense was played. The Packers jumped out to a quick 13-0 lead after Jordan Love found Condom Helmet for 2 scores, but on this night, not even extra points were safe, as Dallas scored 2 points on a blocked extra point return. Then, Dak finally got Dallas's offense on the board late in the first half. I haven't helped a hooker out since the 90s. Cost me my 3rd marriage, got banned from a few bars in the process. I don't regret it none, though. Jerry hired me for my cowboy hat, and truth be told, I never went to medical school. Against all odds, it was Dallas ahead at halftime halftime 16-13 after a strip sack of Love set up a Dak touchdown pass to well-adjusted human George Pickens. The second half was a whirlwind. In the third, the teams traded touchdowns to give Dallas a 23-20 edge heading into the last stanza. Tony Danza. Why did I say that? I don't know. Moving on. After Love used his not-so-sneaky but kind of sneaky athleticism to gain huge yards, Josh Jacobs punctuated the drive with a nasty touchdown run that made Trevon Diggs into a twister player. I mean, good lord, Jacobs gave him the business. But guess what? It mattered not, as Dallas drove right down the field for a score to retake the lead 30-27. Love then found Condom Helmet for the third time to give Green Bay the lead back again 34-30 with 2 minutes left, and you will never guess what happened next. Okay, you got me. Dallas scored another touchdown to go back up 37-34 with 40 seconds left. But to nobody's surprise, Green Bay had enough time for a field goal, which they made to send the game into overtime tied at 37. Dak made some great throws to get Dallas in scoring position, but the Booty Warrior finally got him, and the Cowboys had to settle for a field goal. The Packers converted a fourth down and nearly lost the game with horrible clock management, but with 1 second left, famous respectful airplane passenger Brandon McManus kicked a field goal to seal the 40-40 tie. Miami versus the Jets. This shitfest between two 0-3 teams was as bad as you'd expect, and yet it wasn't even the worst Monday Night Football game this week. The Jets fumbling the ball away right on the goal line is very on brand. Tua Tagovailoa found Darren Waller for the first touchdown of the night. Great job by Waller here to avoid the white line. We know he struggled with that in the past. That's called maturity. Miami went up 17-3 on another Tua Waller connection. Then Justin Fields had his obligatory one amazing play per game to get New York back within 7, but Miami was unfazed, as they should be against the Jets, responding with a touchdown run to go back up 14. Fields was not done stat padding yet, though, as he found Garrett Wilson for a great touchdown catch and a 2-point conversion to make it 27-20 with 1:49 left, but the onside kick was no good, so the Jets lost another game, falling to 0-4. The biggest story from this forgettable game is that it might be the game where Tyreek Hill's career ended. Early in the third, his knee decided it wanted to turn into a pretzel, and it was pretty ugly. Even worse, his kids have to deal with him even more now that he's got time off work. If this is truly the end, what a run it was for the 10-time Child Respecter of the Year award winner. Denver versus Cincinnati. This game was complete horseshit, so I'll keep it short. No offense to anybody with a circumcision. Jake Browning sucks, while Bo Nix tore up Cincinnati's shit defense, running for a score despite having undergone 2 hip replacement surgeries at his big age. At no point in this game did it feel like Cincy had a chance to win. No point. Denver honestly should have won this game by even more, and they would have if not for a bad end zone interception thrown by Nix. But Denver can take solace in the fact that they took a 28-3 lead and didn't lose the game. Not every franchise can say that. Congrats to all the quote-unquote Bengals fans, aka Burrow tards, who care more about Cincy losing to make Burrow look more valuable instead of actually rooting for the Bengals. Rooting for a player is fine, but just be upfront about it, you cowards. Philadelphia versus Tampa Bay. I know you're all just dying to hear me praise the Eagles, so let's begin. Jalen Hurts motivated his special teams to block the punt and return it for a touchdown to go up 7-0 early. That's the type of winners intangibles you can't teach. Here's Hurts throwing a bomb to Dallas Goedert to put Philly up 14-0 early, and after a little lull, Hurts threw another rocket to Goedert to put Philly up 21-3 with no tush-push required. Philly temporarily went up 24-3 before Tampa hit a bullshit 65-yard field goal to make it 24-6 at halftime. Switch those numbers around and you get 6-24 in honor of Kobe's heroic Game 7 shooting performance in 2010 versus Boston. Tampa would make things somewhat interesting in the second half. Baker got lucky with a heave. Yes, he did. We all know it. That led to a 70-yard touchdown. Then a Bucky Irving fumble set up Philly with a short field, which the team capitalized on using a fake tush-push touchdown run by Saquon to go up 31-13, but only for a minute before Baker somehow lucked into another 70-yard touchdown pass to make it 31-20 entering the fourth. We all know Jalen Hurts is famously competitive. That's what makes him a Hall of Fame quarterback, along with all the touchdowns and winning, but testing himself if he could still win a game without completing a pass in the second half against an undefeated team on the road is another level of greatness none of us mere mortals can even begin to grasp. Are you mad yet? Anyway, Tampa hit a field goal to make it an 8-point game, and Philly's defense would finally step up on Tampa's last 2 drives. Star rookie Jahad Campbell picked off Baker in the end zone, and then on Tampa's final drive, Baker got sacked and then proceeded to throw a check down well short of the sticks on 4th and 9 to effectively end the game, although the game officially ended when Philly punter Braden Mann ran 34 yards backwards backwards into the end zone like a schoolgirl to run out the final seconds at the expense of a safety to make the final score 31-25 Philly. Would you look at that? Jalen Hurts' team won again. That's 18 wins in a row in games he's completed. 45 touchdowns to 5 turnovers in that span. A Super Bowl ring, a Super Bowl MVP. People will always find a way to discredit Hurts.